I lost 10 kilograms in 3 months. Every time my friends saw me, they would comment, "You've lost so much weight. How did you do it? Are you taking anything?" It flutters me every time. Sometimes I think that eventually they'll just get used to seeing me like this because I've been getting these comments for a long time now. It has been 12 months since I started losing weight, and I went from 75 kilograms to 60 kilograms, and I've maintained that weight. I still want to lose more, but this time I'm trying to be gentler with myself. So, going back to the question, how did I do it? Let's go back to my old self. From first year to third year of medical school, I was so focused on studying that I neglected physical activity. I ate unhealthy food, sometimes more than I needed, just to supply my brain with glucose so I could study for 16 to 22 hours a day. I didn't cook for myself because I would always burn the food whenever I tried to study while cooking. I allowed myself to live a sedentary lifestyle because I thought that was what I needed to survive medical school. I promised myself that I would take care of my body once I got through that phase of my life. But my body became unhealthy. I had low energy, hormonal imbalance, and I also suffered from PCOS, which made losing weight even harder. I had low self esteem because of my figure, and I was also struggling academically. 1 month into my third year of medical school, I developed migraines, which made it even harder to focus. I was constantly overwhelmed with requirements and things to study. I lived day by day just trying to complete endless tasks, yet I still felt like I was falling behind. My scores were not impressive. Passing exams became harder and harder until I got used to not passing at all, even though it felt like all I ever did was study. Being stuck in that cycle, studying but not getting the results I wanted, eventually led me into depression. On top of that, my romantic relationship was also falling apart. When all I wanted was sympathy and someone to listen, my ex boyfriend responded with insults targeting my greatest insecurities. I was told that I was selfish and controlling and that I had taken him for granted. I felt so hurt by his words, but I was already so down that I didn't even fight for myself anymore. So I just let him go. When I lost him, I felt like I had no idea what my future would be anymore. What was I living for now? I was in such a dark place that I thought about ending my life every day. I felt like I had nothing to look forward to. I believed I was going to fail anyway and that no one would ever love me because I was selfish and unattractive. Most of the time, I isolated myself because I didn't want to pass my sadness on to my classmates. During Christmas break, I went home to my province and spent time with my family. While I was there, I reflected on my life and decided that I needed to change something, anything to pull myself out of the darkness. I started reading self-help books to gain a new perspective. My family's love always makes me feel better, and it pushes me to do my best so that someday I can give back to them. For a while, I started to feel better. Then one day, while I was sitting alone in a cafe reading, I met my ex. We talked, and it felt like nothing had changed. We reconnected and stayed in contact again. This time, I consciously tried to change myself. I tried to be gentler, kinder, and more patient. I pushed myself to be better. I tried to fix everything he said was wrong with me during the breakup. I tolerated his cold treatment. He would insult me and say he didn't care about me anymore right in front of me. And what was even more painful was that somehow I thought I deserved it. I still showed up for him, spent my extra time and weekends with him, all while trying to survive medicine. But in the end, a few months later, I discovered that he had been in another relationship all along. I realized that I had been betrayed. I found out during the last 2 weeks of third year, and the final week was our exams, the ones that would determine whether I could proceed to clerkship. It was the most important exam because if I failed, all my efforts since day one would be wasted. At that moment, I felt like I had died inside. I had nausea, tremors, chest tightness, and uncontrollable tears every day. I couldn't eat at all, but I told myself that it was the last week and I could not waste everything I had worked for. I had to show up for myself and help myself because nobody else would. If I gave up, no one else would be to blame but me, and I would be the one to suffer in the end. So I pushed myself. I drew strength from my friends, my family, and my faith. I prayed every day asking for strength because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I was not at my best and I hated that, but I still pushed through. After the finals, I went home. I had been suppressing my emotions for so long that when I finally returned home, the silence felt loud. With nothing to distract me, I finally listened to the chaos in my mind and felt the pain I have been pushing away all this time. I allowed myself to grieve. It was the darkest time of my life. I felt lost. The future I had imagined suddenly disappeared, and I felt like I had no direction. But then it struck me. My horizons just opened up. Life suddenly had so many more possibilities. Nothing was holding me back. I decided to treat it as an opportunity to start over. I wanted to grow and rediscover who I was. I had been with that person for 10 years, and somewhere along the way, I had lost myself. During the first month, I had no appetite. I ate only one meal a day, just enough to ease the hunger. I was with my family who cared deeply for me. They cheered me up, cooked for me, and bought my favorite food just to get me to eat. I felt comforted and validated. As a middle child, it was rare for me to experience that level of attention. But during that time, I felt deeply loved and cared for. Seeing that made me decide to love myself too. The next month, I started clerkship. I was feeling better, but I had already developed the habit of eating once a day. Part of it was also because I often skipped meals during busy shifts. Since I already lost a significant amount of weight during the first month, I decided to continue. I started running, I continued reading, going on solo dates, and redefining myself. I stick with my core values and how I should interact with the world around me. I am committed to be kind, courageous, patient, curious, and adaptive. I don't run every day. I just run whenever I have time between duties. I run to release attention on my body, to feel free, to empty my mind. After a busy day of work, I wanted time to just shut off my brain. My number one rule when running is that I won't force myself to beat a record or reach a goal. I always want my running time to be enjoyable. I don't want to run just because I need to. I run because I want to. I consciously choose what I eat because I want to maintain a calorie deficit to lose the weight I gained during medical school. All the effort and discipline is in the food I take. I choose foods high in fiber and protein. I mentally count the calories I take to make sure I won't pass my limit. I limit myself to 1,000 calories, but the actual goal is 1,200 calories per day. I just made it lower to put room for errors. Other things I did for myself is I started taking care of my skin. I improved my style and clothes, and I wear what fits my personality, not anymore just the clothes that was handed down to me by my aunts and mom. One of the powerful tools that helped me in this journey was reading. I changed my mindset by reading more books. It's really helpful and mind opening to learn from the perspective of other people from their own experiences and how they navigate their life. It was your own choice if their words make sense to you or not. If you relate to their principles or want to apply their principles, it's entirely up to you. For me, my experience in reading is that it made me calmer, less anxious, and more productive and more proactive with my life. I don't wait for the world to change around me, yet I don't get overly frustrated when things aren't what I planned. I suggest you just read, feed your mind, and find out for yourself how it would change you. I also take medication for my PCOS, and the lifestyle changes help regulate my hormones. Because of that, I am more emotionally stable and my cycle has become more regular. I did all of this because I wanted to love myself. Unconsciously, I may have been sublimating my pain by keeping myself busy. I tried dating again, but I ended up hurting someone when I realized that I wasn't ready to fully trust another person yet. I felt that love is fragile and he could change his mind any moment and he would just leave in the end. So I bit him into it. I broke up with him. I felt so guilty that I decided not to date for now. I am not the person I want to be. There are still parts of myself that I disliked and want to change. Now I realize that maybe I wanted to change so much because I believed that if I became better, I would finally accept myself and other people would accept me too. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of what I've achieved and the progress I've made, but I still struggle to fully accept myself as I am. Sometimes I ask myself difficult questions. What if I gained the weight back? Would somebody still love me or would I still love myself? If I hadn't lost the weight, would I still have learned to love myself? What if I rest and stop running for a while? Would I still feel confident and worthy? What if I stopped smiling and allow myself to be sad when I fell down? Would I still be lovable then? What if I express anger when I'm angry instead of always choosing to be understanding? Would I lose my friends? Would they stick with me or leave me because I'm not a good person anymore? What am I basing my self-worth on? Most likely, it was external. All my life, I have always wanted to be in control. I am someone who plans ahead to achieve what I want. When things don't go according to plan, I tend to hate myself. The same was true in my relationships. I hate waiting, adjusting, or dealing with people who are late because I feel like they're wasting my time. I always make plans for everything. If I go out, I make sure I accomplish 2 or more things so that it feels worth it. Unfortunately, I show this side of myself most strongly in my romantic relationships. That is why I was told that I was controlling and selfish. And honestly, there was truth in that. When my partner didn't conform to what I wanted, I could become extremely angry. In simple terms, I was toxic. I always did things with specific outcome in mind. And when I didn't achieve that outcome, I became angry, depressed, and sometimes even thought about harming myself. I was deeply attached to results. When I read the book Ikigai, I learned that there are things within our control and things outside our control. We can decide to study for an exam, but we cannot control the exact questions the examiner will ask. I remember during second year medicine, I read multiple pages about communicable diseases from epidemiology, clinical manifestations to treatments the whole night, only sleeping for 2 hours. And then in the exam, it just asks us to make a table of PTP treatment categories for 20 points. I'm familiar with it, but I just passed through that in my studies for just 5 minutes. Imagine how frustrated I was back then. We can confess our feelings to someone, but we cannot control whether they will love us back. We can control our actions, but not always the outcome. Another book that influenced me, 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think, says, the point of hard work is to recognize the person it makes you, not what it gets you. That idea changed how I see things. I learned to detach from the outcomes and focus more on the experience itself. Life is made up of experiences, both good and bad. What matters most is how we choose to respond to them. You can see them as suffering or you can see them as lessons. You can stay stuck in what ifs or you can accept what happened and try again. Detachment does not mean giving up or stopping the effort. It means continuing to try while understanding that the outcome does not define who you are. You are not what happened to you. You are the person you choose to be every single day. I chose to be kind to myself. I chose to forgive myself for all the self-blame and self-hate. I chose to take care of my health because it is my greatest treasure. I chose to read to expand my understanding of life. I chose to run because I wanted a healthier future. More importantly, I chose to love myself every single day. Not just the part that I like about myself, but all of me, even the parts I'm insecure about. Loving myself first means not waiting for someone to appear Because being with myself is enough, not hoping for someone to buy me coffee, flowers, or cute little things that makes me happy because I could treat myself with everything I wanted. Not waiting for other people to make me feel wanted and accepted because I see my own value. I am the love of my life.